Have you ever felt like you were making money, but at the end of every year, it seemed like the money that you made was never kept? Well, in this short video, I'm going to expose how it is extremely possible to have crossed the six-figure line and still feel like you're broke. I remember when I had first hit my first six figures, and it was such an elating experience when I looked at my W 2 and it said $110,000, and I don't remember how much it was exactly, but it was 110,000 and some change. And um, when I got to tax time, that 110,000 didn't make sense because I don't know and I didn't know where it went. And that is the story of many people. And you're probably watching me right now. And you're saying, that's my story right now. I made the money. I've done the work. I've grown in my sales. I've done all the things that I was supposed to do. But at the same time, when I look at my accumulations over the year, I lost more than I earned. Well, there's a few things that you have to consider when you're thinking about money. And this is something that I didn't realize was in effect when I was making the money that I was making initially. There's something that we often forget, and that something is called purchasing power or buying power. Your dollar is not your dollar. Your dollar is actually a segment or a fraction of the value of which you can spend, right? Meaning you might have a dollar, but your dollar isn't worth the dollar. Your dollar is worth whatever it has the power to buy. So, for example, when we look at the price of eggs, I looked at something at this point and it said that it was about $3 per dozen. That's about 24 cents an egg. So if you connect that or relate that to a dollar, if you spend a dollar, you're going to spend 24 cents on one egg. And that leaves you with 75 cents, not including taxes, not including gas, not including all of the various expenses that come as a result of using that dollar, right? And a lot of you watching me right now, and you're probably thinking, I have no idea where my money is going. And the reality is this: your money is going into a few places, but until you take control over it, you're not going to be able to master it and or know what to do with it moving forward. And so what you have to first realize is that there are what we would call wealth eroding factors that are working against you unless you know how to work against them, right? When I was first starting in my financial experience or my financial um, acumen development, I don't know what I want to call it. When I first started in the financial industry, rather, right? When I first started, we would always talk about the things that erode wealth or the things that keep you from being able to reach your financial goals. And the first one that we always talked about is not what you think it is, it's ignorance. The highest and the number one wealth eroding factor is ignorance, because what you don't know about money has the power to infect, affect, and keep you from being able to reach your financial goals. If you don't understand how not just to make it, but how to keep it, then you're not going to be able to successfully master it, if that makes sense. So I'm not sure if you heard the saying, making 100K is not making 100K. It's ultimately about how you keep the 100K. And where a lot of people get in the rat race is they end up wanting to make the six and seven figures, but not knowing how to best keep the six and seven figures. Because the test of your riches is not what you can make. The test of your riches is in what you can keep. Because what you can keep, you can multiply, you can reinvest, and then you can continue to distribute throughout generations. That is the point of reaching generational wealth, right? So the after you get through the ignorance phase, we now need to confront the number one thing that comes out of your W-2 income, and it's taxes. Before you get yours, Uncle Sam is taking hers, or his rather. Uncle Sam is going to take a portion of your W-2 income before it comes into your hands. I remember I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and she came to me and was like, why did the government take a third of my income? And I explained, I said that's what they're supposed to do. Like, if you work, they need to take their cut because there are expenses that the government has that need to be met, right? So you're upset with them because you don't know how to play their game. So I want to kind of break this down and give you a better picture so that you can see that you might make $100,000 in a year, but you're really not making or keeping $100,000 in the year. Your 100K is not your 100K. Your 150,000 is not your $150,000. No matter what you make, there are going to be factors, and one of the other factors that is keeping you from being able to keep your money is taxes, right? So let's talk about, or let's do like an example of what that looks like. If I make $100,000 right now, I'm not about to actually be making $100,000, right? And I'm going to show you this really quickly, if I can. Okay, so I'm me. I work for ABC Company, right? Me working for ABC Company, my annual salary is $100,000. Now, I want you to assume that I'm not married and I don't have any children. This is from the perspective of a single taxpayer in the United States of America, right? So I have $100,000, and we're also going to assume that there is no um, other benefits outside of health insurance. Okay, and then we'll add that in at the end. Okay, so my salary is $100,000, meaning I'm going to make $100,000, right? But I'm not going to make $100,000. When we think about taxes, you're not paying taxes on the whole $100,000. You're paying taxes on the portion that is in relationship to the standard deduction. So immediately, we want to already assume that because I'm a single taxpayer, that I'm going to get a standard deduction of $15,000. I actually should make that red. Oh, sorry. $15,000. So now my total is $85,000. Now, when I see this number 85,000, this is actually my taxable income, right? Now, there are various tax brackets that we want to consider in this context, right? So we have you're going to be, if you're making 100,000 minus standard deduction, you're going to be in the 22% tax bracket. That's right in between 47K and 100K and some change, right? Now, America is not on a flat tax as it pertains to W-2 income, on a progressive tax. What that basically means is you're not going to pay 22% on all of your income as it pertains to federal taxes. You're only going to pay 22% on the portion of the income that falls into the bracket, right? So this 85,000 falls into the bracket of between 47K and 100K. Let's do the math here. Let me show you what that looks like. My taxes owed at a 10% tax are 1,160. And I got this written down on this side just so that we can best move through this. All right. Then the 12% tax bracket, we're gonna pay 4,266. The 22% tax bracket, we're gonna pay 8,415. Okay. Now, what is that as we do the math? The math here is we're going to pay $13,841 in taxes. And this is only federal. Okay? Now, let's not include or let's not forget that you got to pay FICA taxes. So FICA taxes is Social Security and Medicare. So the Social Security, the total is 12.4%, and Medicare is 2.9%. Now, because you are a W-2 employee, you're not paying the entire percentage in this, the 15.3%. Remember, you're a W-2 employee, so you're only going to pay half of that, which makes it 6.2% and 1.45%. What is that math? We're going to multiply 6.2% by 100K. And then 1.4%, 4.45% by 100K. What's our total? We have, 6,200 and then 1,450, which is a total of $7,650. So now we have FICA, federal and FICA. I'm not going to include state tax because some states do not pay taxes. Okay. So we have federal tax. Then we have FICA. What's our federal tax again? 13,841. Our FICA tax is 7,650. Now our total tax is $21,491. Maybe I should make that in red. Let's write that in red. Right? So now we have a better frame of where we're at in taxes. Okay? So let's do a quick mathematical, equation. So I make 100,000, right? 15 is a standard deduction. And then we now also have 13, which is the federal tax, and 7,650 for FICA tax. I was about to say state taxes. What is our total? This is how much we actually made. $78,509. That's how much we're taking home. This does not include retirement and insurance and other benefits that I may qualify for. Okay? So now we need to put this in perspective because we also have rent, utilities, car note, we have insurance, we have food, we have all these other expenses that play into us not being able to really fulfill what we actually want to do. So let's go here because now we've confronted ignorance tax, we've confront we've confronted ignorance as a wealth eroding factor. We've confronted taxes as a wealth eroding factor. So now we have to confront lifestyle because you're not actually making this $78,509. That's not actually what you're taking home. It may come in your pocket, but it's not staying there because we now have to deal with what is called lifestyle expense. So you have lifestyle. You got rent, utilities, you got car, note, car, insurance. Oops. Can't spell a little bit. You got gas for the vehicle, right? Let's not forget health insurance, internet, food, cell phone bill. Man, we got consumer debt, student loan debt, all these things, right? Now, I did some research because I wanted to be very thorough with you so that you can understand what's actually going on with you. The average rent in the United States right now is $1,750. For utilities, it's $590. For the car for a used car, $521. For car insurance, $193. For food, oops. Ah, man. All right. uh, actually, I'm looking on this one and looking at the same time. I meant to say gas. For gas, vehicle gas, $204. For health insurance, $465. For internet, $78. For food, $500. Cell phone, $100. Consumer debt, $1,200. $1,237. Oh, $1,237. My goodness. And then for student loan payments, average 503. Now, I didn't add these together. I did it and I multiplied this by 12 times 12. $73,692. What's left over? $4,817. That's what we have left. Now, what about savings? Short-term savings? What about retirement savings? What about the other accounts that you want to put your money into, other investment accounts? How are you going to do that when all of your resources are being held up by ignorance, taxes, and lifestyle? So this, and not I didn't, and I forgot to say inflation. So you have what's against you is ignorance, taxes, inflation, and your lifestyle. Now, these are the things that we need to survive. So it's not to say that these are bad things, but all these things are the reason why it's hard to say, wow, I really made 100K last year. Or I really enjoyed $100,000 last year. Oh, I know where my money is going and I know where it's coming from. And whenever you don't have a clear strategy on how to, you end up in situations where at the end of every year, you look back and you say, wow, I didn't succeed. Yes, you succeeded because you survived. You succeeded because you were able to conquer the year. The question now that you should be asking is, how do I generate more resources in less time? And how can I generate more resources without impacting or without being controlled by the systems that want to erode my wealth? Most people don't ask that question. They just say, I just have to get another job. I need a side gig. I need something that will allow for me to reach my financial goals. But if I do that, it may require more of my physical strength and energy. There's only one way to conquer this type of issue that you may be having. And the way that you conquer it is not by working harder, it's by learning what the rich people do. And what rich people do is they create systems that ultimately generate resources for them, and then they reallocate those resources. In the next video, we're going to talk about the ways or the different types of money generating systems, and how those different money generating systems it can affect you, and how they can help you reach your financial goals quicker. I hope this helped you see that it's not that you're broke. You're actually not broke. You're doing really well. It's just that you need a small education gap filler to help you reach your goals and live financially free. My name is JaQuan Gamble. I hope this helped you. Like and share this and send this to someone. Peace.